I poured my heart and savings into caring for my husband's dying mother, sacrificing my career and dreams, only to discover he was draining my bank account to lavish his mistress with a life I'd never know. He thought I was too broken by caregiving to notice, but I'd turn his betrayal into a trap that left him with nothing but a foreclosure notice. My name is Ellen Carter, and this is the story of how I lost my marriage but found the strength to reclaim my future. Welcome to Breed, where we share raw, powerful stories of heartbreak and triumph that will grip your soul. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to join our community and never miss a tale like mine. Now, let's walk through the moss-draped streets of my world. At 52, I was a former accountant living in a charming but aging home in Savannah, Georgia, where oak trees dripped with Spanish moss and the humid air clung like a second skin. My days revolved around caring for my mother-in-law, Margaret, whose dementia had stolen her sharp wit and left her frail, needing constant attention. My cozy house, with its creaky porch and Margaret's hospital bed in the guest room, was my world, filled with memories of my early years with Robert, my husband of 25 years. As an accountant, I'd once balanced corporate books with precision, but I'd quit my job 5 years ago to care for Margaret, pouring my retirement savings into her medical bills and our mortgage. It was my duty, I thought, as Robert's wife. Robert was my anchor, or so I believed. At 55, he was a car salesman with a charming grin and a knack for closing deals, his southern drawl winning customers at his Savannah dealership. I'd supported him through lean years, dipping into my savings to cover his commissions ups and downs, trusting his promise to repay me. But as Margaret's condition worsened, Robert grew distant, his evenings at work stretching late, his phone buzzing with messages he'd dismiss. "It's just stress, Ellen," he'd say, his eyes avoiding mine. "Focus on Mom. I've got the money covered." I nodded, my love for him blinding me, though the weight of caregiving left me exhausted, my own dreams of travel, of painting buried under diapers and doctor's visits. Margaret was my solace, even in her confusion. Her blue eyes, so like Robert's, held flashes of clarity, and her cryptic warnings, "He's not like his father," haunted me. I'd soothe her, reading her old romance novels, brushing her silver hair, my accountant's precision guiding her medication schedule. My home wasn't grand, but it was ours, bought with my savings and Robert's early earnings, a symbol of our shared life. Yet cracks appeared. Mortgage notices arrived, stamped past due, despite my contributions. "I'll handle it," Robert said, but the notices piled up and my bank account, once robust, felt lighter, though I hadn't checked it in months, trusting Robert's assurances. The first jolt came a week ago, as I sorted bills on my kitchen table, a habit from my accounting days. A bank statement slipped out, its numbers glaring. $10,000 withdrawn from my personal savings, labeled miscellaneous transfer. My heart raced like it did when I'd caught errors in corporate ledgers. I logged into my online banking, my fingers trembling, and found another $5,000 gone. No explanation. These weren't my transactions. My savings were for Margaret's care, our mortgage emergencies. Robert had access a joint account from our early marriage, but he'd never touched it without asking. Had he now? Or was it a mistake? I called Robert, my voice calm but firm. "Robert, there's $15,000 missing from my savings. Did you need it for something?" He paused, too long, his voice tight. "Ellen, it's probably a bank error. I'll check with them. You're stressed. Focus on Mom." Stressed? I'd managed budgets under deadlines, cared for Margaret through sleepless nights, yet his tone echoed dismissal like I was a child questioning a parent. When I pressed, he snapped, "Don't nag me. Ellen, work's tough enough." The call ended, his words a sting, and I wondered if Margaret's warning, "not like his father," meant more than I'd thought. That evening, I drove to the hospital for Margaret's checkup, Robert too busy to join. The nurse, a kind woman named Clara, noticed my fatigue. "Ellen, you're running yourself ragged," she said. I smiled weakly, but her words stirred doubt. Was I missing something, not just in my bank account, but in Robert? I checked his social media, a habit I'd avoided, and saw a tagged photo, a woman, Vanessa, a real estate agent, laughing with Robert at a dealership event. Her profile gleamed with luxury, jewelry, vacations, posted days after my withdrawals. My stomach churned, but I pushed the thought away. Robert wouldn't betray me, would he? Not after my years of sacrifice for his mother. Back home, I tucked Margaret in, her hand gripping mine. "Be careful, Ellen," she mumbled, her eyes distant. I kissed her forehead, my nurse's instinct kicking in. "Observe, don't accuse." The bank statement was a symptom, not a diagnosis, but it pointed to trouble. I thought of my father, an accountant who'd taught me to trust numbers over words, and Robert's evasiveness wasn't adding up. I wanted to confront him, to demand answers, but my caregiving role held me back. I'd kept Margaret alive through crises. I'd keep my family together, too. Yet doubt lingered, like Savannah's humid air, heavy and inescapable. As I sat on my creaky porch, the oak trees whispering under the stars, I made a vow. I wasn't the broken caregiver Robert assumed, nor the naive wife he dismissed. I was Ellen Carter, who'd balanced books and lives with grit. Tomorrow I'd dig deeper, check the bank, maybe ask a friend. Tomorrow I'd find the truth behind those withdrawals. As Savannah's breeze carried the scent of magnolias, I whispered, "You've taken enough, Robert. This caregiver's waking up." The Savannah morning draped my home in a humid haze. The moss-laden oaks outside my window whispering secrets I was only beginning to hear. The $15,000 missing from my savings account was a wound, its edges raw with Robert's dismissal and the shadow of Vanessa Reed's lavish life on social media. I'd poured my heart into caring for his mother, Margaret, sacrificing my accounting career and dreams. Yet his late nights and evasive words, "Don't nag me, Ellen," felt like a betrayal I couldn't ignore. I was Ellen Carter, a woman who'd balanced corporate ledgers with precision, and I wouldn't let my life savings vanish without a fight. As I stood in my aging Savannah home, Margaret's soft murmurs from her room echoing, I vowed to uncover the truth, no matter how much it shattered my world. My days were consumed by caregiving, Margaret's medications, her meals, her fleeting moments of clarity, but my nights became a hunt for answers. I checked my bank account again, my accountant's instincts guiding me through the numbers. 3 more withdrawals appeared, $5,000, $7,000, and $3,000, bringing the total to $30,000. The transactions were labeled business expenses, but I'd spent nothing beyond Margaret's care and our overdue mortgage. Robert had access to the account, a joint setup from our early marriage, but his insistence that it was a bank error rang hollow. I thought of Vanessa, the real estate agent tagged in his dealership photos, her Instagram a parade of luxury, diamond earrings, beach getaways, a sleek convertible. My savings couldn't fund that, could they? But the timing of her posts matched my losses, a pattern too clear to dismiss. I needed an ally, someone who'd see past Robert's charm. Lisa Monroe, my friend and a bank manager, was the first person I trusted. We'd worked together years ago, her sharp mind a match for mine, and she'd always admired my devotion to Margaret. I met her at a cafe, Savannah's humid air heavy as I showed her the bank statements. "Lisa," I said, my voice low, $30,000 is gone, and Robert's dodging me. I saw this woman, Vanessa, on his social media, and her lifestyle fits my withdrawals. Lisa's eyes narrowed, scanning the documents. "Ellen, these transfers went to an account not in your name. I'll trace it. But this smells like fraud or worse. You need to watch Robert quietly. Check his phone, his car, anything." Her words chilled me, but they sparked resolve. I'd audited companies for discrepancies. Now I'd audit my marriage. Lisa's advice led me to action. One evening, while Robert was working late, I parked near his dealership, my heart pounding like it did when I'd caught errors in million-dollar books. Through the showroom window, I saw him laughing, his hand on Vanessa's arm, her red dress catching the light. They left together, driving to a restaurant, their ease a knife in my chest. I followed, staying distant, my hands gripping the wheel. At the restaurant, they shared wine. His smile, the one he'd once saved for me. I snapped photos, my phone trembling, evidence of a betrayal deeper than money. Vanessa's laughter, caught through my cracked window, was a sound I'd never unhear. The next day, at Margaret's hospital visit, Robert's absence stung. Clara, the nurse, noticed my silence. "Ellen, you okay?" she asked, adjusting Margaret's fore. I nodded, but Margaret's voice, faint but sharp, broke through. "He's with her, isn't he?" she mumbled, her eyes on me. I froze, her dementia giving way to truth. "Who, Margaret?" I asked, but she drifted, muttering, "Not like his father." Robert arrived late, his cologne heavy, and brushed off my questions about work. "Ellen, stop worrying," he said, but his phone buzzed, and I glimpsed Vanessa before he silenced it. My stomach churned, the pieces falling into place. Lisa called that afternoon, her voice grim. Ellen? The transfers went to an account tied to Vanessa Reed. She's a real estate agent, but her firm's in debt $50,000 in loans. Robert's funneling your money to her, likely for personal use. She paused. There's more. Your mortgage is 3 months behind, foreclosure's looming if you don't act. Foreclosure? Our home, my sanctuary, was slipping away while Robert funded Vanessa's life. I felt sick. My trust in him crumbling like Savannah's old cobblestones. What do I do? I asked. Lisa's tone hardened. Open a secret account, Ellen. Move your remaining savings now. I'll help. And you need a lawyer. This isn't just theft. It's betrayal. I acted fast, my accountant's mind sharp. At the bank, with Lisa's help, I opened a new account, transferring $20,000, my remaining savings, out of Robert's reach. The joint account, now nearly empty, was frozen, Lisa's authority as manager a shield. My pension, modest but steady, was rerouted to the new account. Safe from his grasp. I kept my actions quiet, my caregiving routine unchanged, Margaret's meals, her stories, her hand in mine. But each night I checked Robert's things, my guilt fading with every lie. In his jacket, I found a receipt, crumpled but damning. A $12,000 down payment for a condo in Vanessa's name, dated after my $7,000 withdrawal. My breath caught. The truth undeniable. He wasn't just stealing, he was building a new life, leaving me and Margaret behind. The family dinner that weekend hosted at our home was my chance to test him. Robert was charming, joking with his sister, Diane, but his eyes darted when I mentioned the mortgage. We're fine, Ellen, he said, too quick. Vanessa's name came up, a client he'd helped, and his smile tightened. Diane praised my caregiving, oblivious to the tension. But Margaret, in a rare moment, gripped my arm. You're too good for him, she whispered, her voice clear. I smiled, my heart breaking, but my phone, hidden in my apron, recorded his every word. Later, he pulled me aside, his voice low. Ellen, we might need to sell the house for Mom's care. Sell our home? The lie was bold, his eyes avoiding mine, and I knew he meant to fund Vanessa's condo. I left the dinner, my resolve ironclad. Back on my porch, Savannah's oaks swaying under the stars. I clutched the receipt, my evidence growing. Robert thought I was a broken caregiver, too tired to fight, but he didn't know Ellen Carter. I'd balanced books through crises, cared for Margaret through despair, loved him through lean years. Tomorrow I'd find a lawyer. Tomorrow, I'd plan my escape. As the humid air wrapped around me, I vowed, You've taken enough, Robert. Your mistress won't have my future, and neither will you. The Savannah air hung heavy with humidity, its weight a mirror to the betrayal crushing my heart. Robert's hand on Vanessa's arm, the $30,000 siphoned from my savings to fund her condo, and his lies about our overdue mortgage had torn through my trust like a storm through Savannah's oaks. I'd cared for his mother, Margaret, for years, pouring my accounting career and savings into her dementia care, only to find my husband building a new life with his mistress. With Lisa's help, I'd moved $20,000 to a secret account, my pension now safe, but the foreclosure looming on our home was a ticking clock. I was Ellen Carter, a woman who'd balanced corporate books through crises, and I wouldn't let Robert steal my future. As I stood in my aging home, Margaret's soft breathing from her room a quiet anchor, I vowed to build a plan, not with rage, but with the precision of a woman who'd survived loss and would rise again. Lisa, my bank manager friend, had been my lifeline, her confirmation of Robert's transfers to Vanessa a call to action. Each night, I gathered evidence, my accountant's mind cataloging every clue. I saved Vanessa's Instagram posts, jewelry, vacations, a convertible, each timestamped with my withdrawals. The condo receipt, found in Robert's jacket, was my trump card, proof he'd used my $7,000 for her down payment. But I needed more, a case strong enough to protect me legally and expose him publicly. Lisa urged me to find a lawyer. Ellen, she said over coffee, her voice firm, you've got theft and fraud. A good attorney can secure your assets and hit Robert where it hurts. His wallet and his pride. Finding a lawyer felt like stepping into uncharted territory, but Lisa recommended Tom Hargrove, a divorce attorney known for handling financial betrayal. I met Tom at his office, a quiet space with oak shelves and Savannah's river view. "Mrs. Carter," he said, his pen poised. "Walk me through it." I laid out the evidence, bank statements showing $30,000 gone, the condo receipt, photos of Robert with Vanessa, and Lisa's trace of the transfers. I showed foreclosure notices. Our home 3 months behind, Robert's neglect threatening my sanctuary. Tom's eyes sharpened. "This is embezzlement, Ellen, and marital fraud. Robert's used your savings without consent. And Vanessa's complicity makes her liable. We can sue for restitution, file for divorce, and protect your remaining funds. But we need to lock down your assets first." "Lock down how?" I asked, my voice steady despite the ache. Tom leaned forward. "Your secret account's a start. We'll transfer any joint assets, your pension, any equity to a trust he can't touch. Your home's in both names. But we can fight foreclosure by proving his neglect. And we need more evidence, texts, emails, anything showing intent. Can you play along, act like you trust him, until we're ready?" Play along. I'd cared for Margaret through despair, balanced books under pressure, and I could play the devoted wife while building my case. "I can," I said, my resolve hardening like Savannah's cobblestones. Tom drafted a plan. Finalize the trust, gather more proof, and confront Robert at a hospital visit for Margaret in a week, where he'd likely push to sell our home. Lisa helped me transfer my pension fully to the secret account, and I sold a small stock fund, $5,000 from my father's estate, to bolster my savings, now $25,000 strong. I kept my routine unchanged, Margaret's medications, her stories, my hands soothing her fears while watching Robert. His late nights grew bolder, his phone buzzing with Vanessa's name. His excuses flimsier. "Work's crazy, Ellen," he'd say, but his cologne betrayed evenings not spent at the dealership. Robert escalated at a family dinner hosted at our home, his sister Diane and cousin Paul joining us. He raised a glass, his charm on full display. "Ellen's been a rock for Mom," he said, but his eyes flicked to me, calculating. Later, in the kitchen, he cornered me, his voice low. "Ellen, we need to sell the house for Mom's care, for our future." He slid a real estate listing across the counter, Vanessa's agency logo glaring. My pulse raced, but I clutched my phone, recording in my pocket. "I'll think about it," I said, my voice soft, eyes downcast like a tired caregiver. His smile was predatory. "Don't wait too long, Ellen. It's the only way." Diane overheard, praising his care, and I felt the sting of his lie. I retreated to Margaret's room, her hand gripping mine. "You're enough," she mumbled, her clarity a fleeting gift. The camera in my mind, my accountant's eye, caught Robert's words, another piece of evidence. That night, I checked his laptop, left open in our study, and found emails to Vanessa, "House sales close, we'll clear the condo loan." My heart sank, his plan clear, sell my home, pay off Vanessa's debts, leave me with nothing. I saved the emails, my hands trembling, and emailed them to Tom. "This is gold," he replied. "We've got intent, fraud, and coercion. One more push from Robert and we're ready." Lisa dug deeper. Her bank contacts revealing Vanessa's real estate firm was $100,000 in debt, her condo loan delinquent. "She's desperate, Ellen," Lisa said. "Robert's using your money to keep her afloat. But his dealership's tanking, $260,000 in loans. My husband wasn't just unfaithful, he was drowning, dragging me down with him. I thought of Margaret, her trust in me, her warnings about Robert. "I'm sorry, Margaret," I whispered, alone on my porch. The pain was raw, but it fueled me. I wasn't just fighting for my savings. I was fighting for my home, my dignity, my life. Tom called with more news. "The $30,000 is gone, condo payments, jewelry, Vanessa's loans," he said. "But we can sue for restitution and the trust protects your future. The foreclosure's real. But we can negotiate with the bank, prove Robert's neglect, and save your home." Saving my home felt like saving myself, a lifeline I'd cling to. I prepared for the hospital visit, where Robert planned to finalize the house sale. I'd let him think I'd agree, then spring the trap. Lisa would join me, a quiet ally, and Tom would file divorce papers the next day. That night, I walked my creaky porch, Savannah's oaks looming under the stars. Margaret's romance novel, left open, held a line I'd read to her, "In truth we stand." I clutched it, tears falling. Robert thought he'd outsmarted a broken caregiver, Vanessa his ticket to freedom, but they didn't know Ellen Carter. I'd balanced books through chaos, cared for Margaret through despair, loved Robert through lean years. Tomorrow, I'd meet Tom to sign the trust. Tomorrow, I'd record Robert's final lie. As Savannah's magnolias scented the air, I promised. You've underestimated me. Robert, your mistress won't have my home, and neither will you. The Savannah dusk cast a golden glow over the hospital parking lot. Its warmth a cruel contrast to the cold betrayal I'd carried for weeks. Robert's emails plotting to sell our home, the $30,000 he'd stolen from my savings for his mistress Vanessa's condo, and his lies about our looming foreclosure had shattered the marriage I'd built through years of caring for his mother, Margaret. With Lisa's banking savvy and Tom's legal strategy, I'd secured $25,000 in a secret account, my pension safe in a trust, and evidence, bank records, emails, a condo receipt, ready to expose him. Tonight's hospital visit, where Margaret lay frail, was Robert's chance to push for the house sale, but I'd scripted a different ending. I was Ellen Carter, an accountant who'd balance ledgers through chaos, and tonight, I'd balance justice with a steady heart. As I walked into the hospital, my folder of evidence heavy in my purse, I wasn't just confronting my husband, I was reclaiming my life. The past week had been a whirlwind of preparation. Tom had finalized the trust, locking down my home's equity and pension untouchable by Robert's greed. Lisa had negotiated with the bank, delaying foreclosure by proving Robert's neglect, giving me time to plan my exit. My remaining savings, bolstered by the $5,000 from my father's stocks, were my lifeline. I'd found a small apartment, its lease signed yesterday, a haven for my new beginning. Tom had drafted divorce papers ready to file after tonight and a civil suit for restitution of the stolen $30,000. Though recovery was unlikely, the evidence was airtight: bank statements, Vanessa's social media flaunting my money, Robert's emails to her about the house sale. You've got him, Ellen, Tom said, his voice firm. This hospital visit's your moment, hit him where it hurts. The hospital corridor buzzed with nurses, the antiseptic scent a reminder of Margaret's fragility. Robert arrived, his suit crisp, his charm masking the strain in his eyes. His sister, Diane, and cousin, Paul, joined us, their concern for Margaret genuine but blind to Robert's deceit. In Margaret's room, she lay pale, her blue eyes flickering with recognition. Ellen, she whispered, gripping my hand, her clarity a fleeting gift. Robert stood by the window, his phone buzzing. Vanessa, no doubt. Ellen, we need to talk about the house, he said, his voice smooth but urgent. Selling, it's the only way to cover Mom's care. Diane nodded, trusting his lie, but I clutched my purse, my voice soft. Let's discuss it here, I said, gesturing to a family lounge nearby. They followed, puzzled. As Lisa arrived, her bank manager's poise a quiet strength. I set my folder on the lounge table, my hand steady, and faced Robert. Before we sell, I said, my voice rising, I have something to show you all. I opened the folder, spreading bank statements, $30,000 withdrawn, timed with Vanessa's luxuries. I held up the condo receipt, her name glaring, and played a recorded clip from the family dinner, Robert's voice clear. Sell the house, or we're sunk. Gasps echoed as I displayed his emails to Vanessa. House sales close. We'll clear the condo loan. Diane's hand flew to her mouth. Paul's eyes widened, and Robert's face drained of color. The room fell silent, the hospital's hum distant. Robert, I said, my voice raw but strong, you stole $30,000 from my savings, my years of sacrifice for Margaret to fund your mistress's condo. Her jewelry, her loans. You let our home slide into foreclosure, lied about Mom's care, and planned to sell my sanctuary to save Vanessa. I held up the foreclosure notice, 3 months overdue. His neglect undeniable. I trusted you, loved you, cared for your mother while you built a new life without me. But I'm not the broken caregiver you thought. I've moved my money to a secret account. And I'm leaving you with this notice and nothing else. Robert lunged for the folder, his voice cracking. Ellen, this is a misunderstanding. Vanessa's just a client. But Lisa stepped forward, her folder glinting. As Ellen's financial advisor, I traced your transfers to Vanessa Reed's account, she said. Your dealership's $60,000 in debt. And her firm's failing. You used Ellen's savings to prop it up. Diane's voice shook. Robert, how could you? I met his eyes, tears burning but unshed. You chose Vanessa over me, over Mom, over our home. I said, I'm filing for divorce, and Tom's suing for restitution. You'll face foreclosure alone. Tom's name hit like a thunderclap. Robert hadn't known about the lawyer. Ellen, please, he begged, his charm gone, his face crumpling. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. Don't do this. His plea echoed the man I'd loved, the one who'd promised forever. But the man before me was a stranger. You fixed nothing, I said, my voice steady. You broke us, Robert. Vanessa's absence loomed, her cowardice clear. She'd let Robert take the fall. Paul stood, his voice low. I'm done with you. Robert, he said, walking out. Diane followed, her eyes wet, leaving Robert alone in the lounge. Lisa touched my arm. Let's go, Ellen. I nodded, gathering my folder, the weight of my evidence now a shield. Margaret's face flashed in my mind, her trust in me a reason to stand tall. The family parted as I left, nurses glancing curiously. The hospital's lights harsh but cleansing. Outside, Savannah's humid air wrapped around me, the oaks whispering strength. Clara, the nurse, caught me at the door. You're stronger than you know. Ellen, she said, her smile warm. I hugged her, grateful for her quiet support. On my porch that night, Lisa hugged me, her voice fierce. You showed him, Ellen. I smiled faintly. Exhausted but unbroken. The hospital was Robert's stage, but I'd stolen the spotlight, exposing his betrayal to those he'd fooled. His plea, I'm sorry, lingered, but it was too late. He'd chosen Vanessa's dreams over my love, and I'd chosen freedom over pain. My savings were secure, my apartment waiting, and the foreclosure notice was his burden now. As Savannah's stars burned above, I felt free, the accountant who'd faced her hardest audit and passed. The visit was over, but my story was just beginning. The Savannah night wrapped around me as I drove away from the hospital, the weight of Robert's betrayal lifting like fog under the city's moss-draped oaks. I'd stood in the family lounge, exposing his theft of $30,000 from my savings to fund his mistress Vanessa's condo, his emails plotting to sell our home, and his neglect that pushed us toward foreclosure. With Lisa's financial acumen and Tom's legal precision, I'd secured my funds in a secret account, my pension in a trust, and left Robert with a foreclosure notice. His lies bared to his family. His plea, Ellen, please, had echoed, but it couldn't mend the marriage he'd broken. I was Ellen Carter, an accountant who'd balanced ledgers and lives, and as I drove through Savannah's humid air, I felt a quiet freedom, ready to write a new chapter in a life reclaimed. 3 months later, I settled into a small apartment overlooking a Savannah park, its windows framing the oaks I'd always loved. My $25,000 savings, bolstered by the $5,000 from my father's stocks, gave me stability, and a part-time accounting job at a local nonprofit brought purpose. Tom's trust protected my pension, and the lawsuit recovered $8,000 of the stolen $30,000, the rest lost to Vanessa's debts. But I didn't mourn it. My old home, foreclosed after Robert's failure to pay, was sold at auction, its memories safe in my heart. I furnished my apartment simply, a desk for my ledgers, a canvas for painting, a photo of Margaret smiling in her clearer days. The creaky porch was gone, but my new balcony held a magnolia scent, a symbol of my resilience. Robert's downfall was swift. The evidence, bank records, emails, my testimony, undeniable. He lost his dealership to bankruptcy, his $60,000 debt swallowing his charm, and faced a year of probation for marital fraud. Vanessa's real estate firm collapsed, her condo repossessed, her social media silent after clients fled. A Savannah News report overheard at a cafe detailed their ruin. Robert, renting a cheap motel room, jobless, Vanessa back with her parents, her affair a public disgrace. I waited for the pang of a wife's guilt, but it didn't come. Robert had chosen Vanessa's dreams over me, over Margaret, and I'd chosen my survival over his redemption. Margaret passed a month after the hospital visit, her frail hand in mine. Her last words, "You're enough, Ellen." A gift I carried. I grieved her, not just as a mother-in-law, but as a woman who'd trusted me when Robert hadn't. Her funeral was quiet, Diane and Paul there, but Robert absent, his shame too heavy. Diane became a friend, her apology heartfelt. I should have seen his lies, Ellen, she said, tears falling. I hugged her, forgiving her blindness. Knowing love could cloud anyone. I'd been clouded, too. Lisa visited often, her laughter a balm, and Tom joined us for coffee, his legal mind now a warm presence. My new family wasn't born of marriage but forged in loyalty, stronger than Robert's vows. I found peace in routine, balancing books for the nonprofit, my accountant's precision a comfort. I painted again, Savannah's oaks and rivers blooming on canvas, my dreams reborn. Clara, Margaret's nurse, sent a card, praising my strength, and I called her, grateful for her quiet support. Robert's sister, Diane, shared updates, his attempts to rebuild, his regret, but I kept my distance. A letter arrived, his handwriting shaky. "Ellen, I'm sorry," he wrote. "I lost myself in Vanessa. But I lost you too. Can we talk?" I read it twice, my heart aching for the man I'd loved, but the woman I'd become knew better. I replied, brief but firm, "Robert, I forgive you. But my life's mine now. Prove you've changed to yourself." I mailed it, my hand steady, boundaries set like a ledger's clean lines. Vanessa's voicemail, left weeks later, was deleted unheard, her voice a shadow I'd outrun. Their affair crumbled. Diane said, Vanessa blaming Robert for her ruin, their love, or lust, dissolving in debt. Their fate was theirs, and I felt no need to soften it. The lesson of my story is simple but hard-earned. Your sacrifices are your strength, but they're yours to guard. I gave Robert my savings, my years, my care for Margaret, thinking love meant surrender. But love demands respect, and respect starts with you. Your money, your time, your heart, they're yours to protect, even from those you trust most. If someone's stealing your light, let my story be your ledger. Count every cost, secure your worth, and never let love blind you to your value. If the story moved you, join us at Breed for more tales of resilience and redemption. We share stories that matter every day, and we'd love you in our community. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and let's keep these voices alive. Thank you for listening, and now let me leave you with this. As I stood in Savannah's park painting an oak's gnarled branches, I thought of Robert one last time. Not with pain, but with release. He tried to erase me, but he'd given me a chance to rebuild, to find joy in my work, my art, my friends, Lisa, Tom, Diane. I cared for Margaret, loved her as my own, and her trust in me was my legacy, brighter than any house. I set down my brush, the canvas alive, and read Margaret's favorite line, taped to my easel. "In truth we stand." The park's children laughed, thinking it was for them, and I smiled, knowing it was for me. The accountant who'd faced betrayal, the caregiver who'd survived loss, the woman who'd learned to stand alone, she was here, whole and free. As Savannah's sun sank, casting golden shadows over the oaks, I knew I was home.